I hope all of you are good. So this is the fourth part of the chapter Force and Laws of Motion, and in this part we will discuss a comparative study between inertia and mass and the second law of motion and its mathematical derivation. Okay, so first of all we will see what is mass and inertia. Okay, earlier you have gone through the definition of mass, that mass is the amount of matter contained in an object. Means in an object, what is the amount of matter in it, that is that is mass. And what we studied in the previous part about inertia is what it is: the tendency of an object to resist any change in its state, okay, irrespective of its state, whether it may be rest or of uniform motion in a straight line. So here we'll discuss the relation between mass and inertia. Okay, so inertia is dependent on its mass, or we can say mass depend on inertia. Means both are interdependent with each other, both of them exist together. Okay, one cannot exist without the another. Just like that, inertia of an object is dependent upon its mass, or you can say mass is the amount of inertia of an object. So let's compare two objects, one is light, one is heavy. Okay, so the light object has less inertia, so that we can make it move with very less amount of force. Okay, if an object is heavy, it has high inertia, or it has high tendency to oppose any change in its state. Okay, if the object is heavy, then it has large inertia, and therefore it will show more resistance, okay, to change its state. Hence we can conclude in one statement, we can understand it very clearly, that mass is called the measure of inertia of an object. Okay, mass is called the measure of inertia of an object, means how much inertia is present in an object, that is known as mass. We can say mass is nothing but the measure of inertia in an object, means both are very closely interrelated with each other. Okay, here we will discuss this with an example. Look at this figure. One of these is filled with sand. Here are two buckets, both are hanged with a transversal bar. One is empty, this one is what? Empty, and this is filled with sand. Okay, so if you are asked to push both of the bucket one by another, one after another, then what you will feel? While you have to lift this bar, this bucket, you can lift it very easily. As compared to this one, you need to apply a higher force. Yes or no? You need to apply more force to lift this bucket as compared to this one. Why? Because this bucket is filled with what? Air, and this is filled with sand. So the mass of sand is no doubt many more time higher than mass of air. Okay, now it's time for second law of motion. Look, the statement is very simple. The impact produced by a moving object depends upon its mass and velocity. Remember the line. The impact produced by a moving object depends on its mass and velocity. Means here, let's take the example of a bullet. Okay, A simple bullet can kill a person. Why? Because it has high velocity. Okay, let you want to break the window of a car. Okay, so you are firing one bullet, okay, and a large sponge, you can say, or any plastic, okay, a piece of plastic. Okay, out of these two, which one will affect more? The bullet. Why? Here you can say what the mass of the bullet may be how much, 5 to 10 gram, but the plastic may be 1 kg. Okay, still the bullet will affect more, because the average speed or velocity of the bullet may be 300 to 500 meter per second. But can you throw the plastic with your hand? Can you? Never. You can maximum how much, 50 meter per second speed. Okay, so that's why you cannot break the glass or make so much damage that a bullet can. Okay, another thing, let you are punching what, to a wall. Okay, then what will happen? Can you affect it? No. Maybe your speed might be 50 meter per second, but let a truck or any tractor or any four-wheeler, any vehicle is coming towards it with a very slow speed of how much, let it be 5 meter per second only, then this object, the car or the vehicle, will break it down, but you cannot. So how much the moving object will affect on any striking one, it depends on both what, its mass and velocity. Okay, not a single factor can affect more. When both are considered or both are reasonable value, then they can affect. So here you will get a new term, a new concept is introduced here, that is known as momentum. Momentum is the product of mass and velocity, means momentum is denoted by small p equal to mass into velocity. Okay, so next we'll come to the mathematical derivation of this second law of motion. First, be clear. Okay, so what will be the unit? The SI unit of momentum is what? SI unit of mass is kg, into velocity is what? Meter per second. So the SI unit of momentum will be kg meter per second, or simply you can write p equals to mv and the SI unit will be kg meter per second. Remember this one, huh? Where m is the mass of the object and v is velocity. Be clear with it, huh? Then momentum of a stationary object. What will be the momentum of a stationary object here? Stationary object means, always remember, stationary means what? Rest. If an object is at rest, then its velocity will be how much? How much? 0. So if 0 is the velocity, then definitely if we to obtain its momentum, what do we have to do? Multiply the velocity with mass, and you know 0 multiplied with any number is what? 0 itself only. So the momentum of a stationary object is 0. Remember, this type of question or points come in objective type, and you maybe MCQ, true false, right? Or this may come in various different way. Okay. Next, we know that the velocity of an object can be changed by applying an unbalanced force onto it. Similarly, the momentum will change, right? If the velocity is changing, then definitely the momentum is changing, na? Why? Because they are directly related. And also, we cannot change the mass, can we? No, it's quite difficult to change the mass of the object, right? So by changing the velocity, we can change the momentum also. Now let's see. According to second law of motion, the rate of change of momentum of an object is directly proportional to the applied unbalanced force on the object in the direction of the force. Remember the last part. Let's analyze the statement. The rate of change of momentum, okay, the how the momentum is changing is directly proportional to, means let we can write del p, change rate of change is taken as del, is direct to applied force, and this change takes place in the direction of force. Okay, the change will be in the direction of force, means if the force is, if the force is in the direction of motion, then momentum will what, increase. If the force, if the unbalanced force is along the direction of motion, then the momentum will what, increase. Okay, and if it is opposite to the direction of motion, then what will happen, the momentum will decrease. So the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the unbalanced force, and it takes place, it occurs in the direction of the applied force. Like you can take this example here. While playing cricket, what happens, I think most of the boys can understand, or girls also can understand. While catching a ball, suppose a batsman hit a ball very hard and you are going to catch it. How we catch it? Some people what, makes their hand flat and the ball comes to it. So in this time, in this situation, what is happening, the rate of change is high, means the ball or the whatever the momentum is, it is suddenly coming down to zero. So definitely it will affect more. Okay, that's why while catching the ball, we pulls our hand back. Okay, here look, the ball is coming, we just come, hold it and make it what, come to rest slowly. Okay, so that what, the speed will decrease gradually, not like all of a sudden. Okay, so if this will happen, then it will hurt more, है ना? If we will suddenly catch the ball, it will hurt more. Maybe our what, palm get damaged. But in this case, in this way, if you are catching a ball, you can catch it very easily, very smoothly. It won't hurt you anymore, right? So why? Because here the momentum, here the momentum falls slowly. Okay, and here in this case it falls suddenly. Okay, now I hope you got this point. Now come to the mathematical derivation. How can we derive it mathematically? Okay, based on, okay, the definition of the first law, second law of motion. What, look, an object is, let's take an example, an object is moving with a particular speed, okay, so its initial velocity is u, initial velocity is u, and final velocity is v. So what is the change in momentum? Change in momentum is what, let it be, final momentum be p2 minus initial momentum is p1. Now we know the mass is, the mass be m only, the mass is m. So what will be the change in momentum? p2 minus p1, that implies mv minus mu, because if we are measuring the change, we have to subtract final minus initial. So here it will be what, taking m common, what we will get, m into v minus u, that is given here also, okay, this one, this is the expression. Now here this was change in momentum, then for calculating the rate of change we have to make the involvement of time here, so that will be m into v minus u by t. M into change in momentum is what, m into v minus u, so rate will be what, divided by time, so here we are dividing it with time, that will be m into v minus u by t. Okay, you know this is what the formula of acceleration. So as it is what, proportional, here this is what the sign of proportional, means increases with increasing, means rate will be more if this will be more, okay. So what you can write here, the rate of change of momentum is proportional to, here you got, the rate of change of momentum is proportional to m into v minus u by t. So according to the second law of motion, what we know, rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to force, so we can substitute this rate of momentum, rate of change of momentum with force, okay. So that became here, force is directly proportional to m into v minus u by t. Now as it is proportional, listen carefully, what is the meaning of proportional? Proportional means if one value x is proportional to y, then what will happen, if the value of x will increase, sorry, if the value of y will increase, the value of x will also increase without any doubt, okay. Here we can take a comparison, like let one simple example, let the price of one pen is 5 rupees, okay. Let me take it x, y, price is price of one pen is 5 rupees, okay. If it will be 10, this will be 50, if this will be 20, this will be 100. How it is changing, just try to notice it, proportional means the price is proportional to the number of pen, price is proportional to number of pen here, okay. So how these are changing, note it down, y is always 5 times of x, so what you can write here is y is proportional to x. So if I will remove this one, which one, proportional sign, how can I write it? Look, 50 equals to, let me write it again here, 50 equals to 5 into 10, okay. So how it is changing, y equals to 5 times of x, y equals to 5 times of x, means Now note it down, y is proportional to x. This implies y is equal to 5x, means it depends on 5 times. Okay, it is what, 5 times. So that in the same way here also we can get it. Here it is 5, so here we are writing k. It is not any fixed constant, so here k is a what, k is any constant, like in the example there was 5. So we are converting the proportionality into a constant. Now we can write force equals to k into m into v minus u by t. And here look at this one, v minus u by t is nothing but your acceleration, so you can write k equals to, force equals to k into ma. Now if everything will be 1, let the force be 1 unit, here mass be 1 kg, acceleration be 1 meter per second square, then the value of k is 1. So by putting this value of k 1 here, we will get force equals to ma. Okay, so the confusion that arises here is p equals to mv and f equals to ma. Remember these two. Momentum is mass into velocity, whereas force is mass into acceleration. Don't get confused between force and momentum. Now I hope you got the point. So therefore, with the help of the second law of motion, we can evaluate the amount of force that is being exerted on any object. Means if we can calculate the acceleration and we know the mass, then we can find out the amount of force applied. Okay, so the mathematical derivation is, here questions may come like, what is the mathematical derivation of second law of motion? What is F equals to m into a, that is force is the product of mass and acceleration. And as you all know earlier, the SI unit of force is Newton. So 1 Newton is how much? 1 Newton equals to 1 kg meter per second square. Now in the comment section, tell me how can we define 1 Newton. That's your homework. Okay, I hope you got the point, or you got clear idea about second law of motion.